of each dinner dish, I listed a number of the guests. Well, in 1951 and 52, my former husband and I taught school on King Island. After we came back, my former husband wrote a story for the National Geographic issue of January 54 on cliff dwellers of the Bering Sea, and that was King Island. And of course, when I was there, I sketched and did more sketches. The lifestyle there is so unique that I never for a minute ran out of subjects to sketch. And since 1952, I have been doing paintings of King Island, and I still do paintings of King Island, of my many, many, many sketches. And when the women fished, they always started to make and you catch fish there very fast, one right after the other. And they would always put the fish in a circle. And when the circle was completed, then they'd go home. However, if they wanted to fish longer, they would push the fish out and make a bigger circle, and then they could continue to fill in the rest of the circle. They were their own babysitters. They always carried their little baby on their back. The little section of baleen, they would tie them together, and that was their fishing line. And the reason they used baleen is that the baleen line would not freeze. No ice would form on it. They used 2 sticks, and the baleen line was attached to one of the sticks. And they let the line go down, and when they had a fish on the hook, they would pull it up with the 2 sticks, twisting the line around the sticks as they went along, and the fish would come up very fast that way. In fact, the lines did not have bait on them. They had brightly colored pieces of plastic toothbrushes. And when we first came to the island, just about all the kids came to our house and said, "Can we have a toothbrush?" And we had huge supplies of toothbrushes. This woman is fishing for tomcod and other small fish. And here's a painting of a woman that is fishing for king crab, and you see the hole is a lot bigger so that they could get the king crab out. When I taught school there, I'd go down on the ice and watch these people fish, and did a little fishing myself. But mostly what interested me is looking down those holes, and there was nothing but pitch black. And I imagined what it might look like under the ocean out there, and this is what I saw, all these scary creatures. These are Eskimo dancers also on King Island, and they're having a dance. And at night, in the evenings, they very often had dances in what they call their kashim, which is kind of a half-submerged, in-the-ground clubhouse. And to get into the kashim, you had to go crawl through a tunnel, and then at the end of the tunnel, you would stand up, and you would be in the center of the clubhouse. And on King Island, when they danced, they always had to wear gloves, they said. And the reason they had to wear gloves, because otherwise the motion wouldn't be nearly as poetic. I've also done a number of paintings of legends, and I love to do legends, mainly because you can do the illustration or the drawing or the painting any way you want. And this is a story about a very beautiful Eskimo woman who was clam digging on the beach when a whale came along. And he said, "Oh, would you marry me?" And she said yes. And with that, she turned herself into a whale, and off they went to start their marriage. Well, Eskimos are great storytellers, and this is my idea of an Eskimo storyteller. I really enjoy having some of my work done in stained glass. The colors are so vibrant. On the left is a Russian church, and on the right is part of the crane legend. The legend is about a young girl who was out picking berries with friends and family, and there were a number of sandhill cranes out there that were about to leave, and they saw this beautiful girl. They decided they wanted to take her along. So they swooped down and made this very tight circle around her, flying around her, and that way they lifted her up into the sky and flew off with her, and she was never seen again. Well, I've done so many Russian churches all over Alaska. This is one of my favorite ones. It was done in Aniak on the Kuskokwim River, and when I did the painting, I liked it okay, but I thought there was something missing. And I realized what it was, and I decided I would add it to this painting. The area was absolutely covered with mosquitoes, and so I finally drew in the mosquitoes hovering over this dog, over this man, and over me sketching the church. Much of my artwork people consider very cheerful and whatnot, and however, I portray that cheerfulness, I would guess, by my colors and by the action. I don't think I've done more than one painting in which a person actually has a smile on their face. and that applies to this painting too. This was my dog at the time, who loved to catch snowballs, and when he caught them, he would dig a hole in the snow and bury them. Here's another tapestry that I had done in Aubusson, France. It's the Noah's Ark in Alaska. And it shows so many of the Alaskan creatures: walruses, whales, mermaids, halibut, cod, seals, salmon, gulls, crested auklets, reindeer, snowy owl, Canadian geese, foxes, and Noah himself releasing the dove to go look for land. I've done a number of biblical subjects, religious subjects, but mostly they pertain to Noah and Noah's Ark and some of the creatures. This painting I did not long ago because I like to draw oil drums so much. In the town of Pelican, they have the fuel dock, which is a very long dock, and they sell fuel to all the boats at this dock. But the whole dock is lined up with one oil drum after the other, countless numbers of them. It's a fun little town to be in. The folks there are nice, like they are in all these little villages, and there's so much to draw. One of my favorite paintings, Peaceable Alaska. It was after the work of Edward Hicks, who did many paintings entitled The Peaceable Kingdom. The other reason I like this painting is because it finally turned out. I started off with the blue sky, which was very boring, and then I covered that with the brown sky, which was very boring. And finally, the only color I could go to was black, and the black sky worked. This is a legend about two women who go up the mountain every day in the summer to snare squirrels and to pick berries. And this one woman always eats her berries instead of taking them home to her family. And her friend finally says, "Now, if you keep eating all those berries instead of taking them home to your family, you're going to turn into a black bear." And she had no sooner said this when the woman turned into a black bear.